The night he boarded the flight, the city he had grown up in looked smaller than his fears and bigger than his dreams. The airport lights blurred through tired eyes as his heart beat with a mix of excitement and terror. Because this was not just a journey across oceans, it was a journey away from everything familiar. He carried one suitcase, a few folded clothes, and a lifetime of hopes that had never been tested outside his narrow lanes and crowded trains. Somewhere above the clouds waited a country he had only seen in movies, and somewhere deep inside him lived a quiet belief that his life was meant for something more than survival. This was the beginning of a journey that would break him, shape him, and unexpectedly teach him what love truly meant. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the idea that one brave step can change a lifetime, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel for more stories that come straight from the heart. He had grown up in a modest Indian household where dreams were practical and emotions were rarely spoken aloud. His father worked long hours to keep the family steady, and his mother carried quiet sacrifices in her tired smile. From a young age, he learned discipline, patience, and the art of swallowing disappointment. He was intelligent, curious, and restless, always looking beyond the horizon, always wondering what life felt like on the other side of the world. When the opportunity to study in America finally came after years of struggle, paperwork, and rejection, it felt unreal, like a door opening just enough for him to slip through before it slammed shut again. America did not welcome him gently. The cold air cut through his thin jacket, the streets felt too wide, and the people seemed to move with a speed he could not match. Every accent reminded him that he did not belong. Every classroom made him aware of his hesitation, his pauses, his fear of being misunderstood. He worked late-night shifts to pay rent, cleaned tables with hands that once held books, and learned to hide his exhaustion behind polite smiles. Loneliness followed him like a shadow. Video calls with home ended with forced laughter and silent tears. He told everyone he was fine because admitting weakness felt like failure. Slowly, the city began to reveal itself in fragments. A quiet library corner where he felt safe. A bus stop where the same faces appeared every morning. A small cafe near campus where the smell of coffee mixed with warmth during harsh winters. It was there, on an ordinary afternoon, that something extraordinary began without noise or drama. He noticed her presence before he noticed her face, a calm energy that softened the space around her. She moved with ease, as if the world had always been kind to her, yet her eyes carried a depth that suggested she understood pain too. At first, their connection was nothing more than shared moments in the same place. They studied, worked, existed side by side without intention. But life has a quiet way of weaving paths together. A spilled drink led to an apology, an awkward smile led to recognition, and recognition slowly grew into comfort. For him, every interaction felt heavy with meaning. He was careful, restrained by culture, fear, and the constant reminder that he was a guest in this country, in this life. She, on the other hand, carried openness naturally, unaware of the walls he had built to protect himself. As days turned into weeks, he found himself looking forward to those moments more than anything else. Her presence eased the weight he carried. Around her, he felt seen without explanation, yet the distance between their worlds was undeniable. He came from a place where love was cautious and earned through time, where futures were discussed before feelings. She came from a world where emotions were explored freely, where possibilities were endless. This difference terrified him. He feared misunderstanding, rejection, and the pain of wanting something he believed he could never truly have. Life tested him relentlessly during this time. His grades slipped as work hours increased, financial pressure tightened. A visa issue threatened to undo everything he had built. There were nights when he sat alone in his small room, questioning whether the journey had been a mistake. In those moments, thoughts of her became both comfort and ache. He told himself not to dream, not to hope, not to attach his fragile heart to something uncertain. But hearts rarely listen to logic. What changed him was not a single moment, but a series of quiet realizations. He began to understand that love was not about perfection or security, but about courage. Watching her treat people with kindness, stand up for herself, and listen without judgment slowly dismantled his fears. She never asked him to be anyone else. She never questioned his background or his struggles. In her presence, he felt accepted not as an immigrant or an outsider, but simply as a human being trying his best. Still, the unspoken distance lingered. Cultural expectations weighed heavily on him. He worried about his family, their hopes, their beliefs. He worried about the future, about whether two lives shaped by different worlds could ever align. When circumstances forced him to consider returning home due to financial and legal pressures, the reality of loss finally became impossible to ignore. The idea of leaving without ever acknowledging what had grown between them felt heavier than any rejection. The turning point came not with grand gestures but with honesty. He allowed himself to be vulnerable, something he had never truly done before. He shared his fears, his background, his uncertainty about the future. In doing so, he risked everything. Vulnerability is terrifying, especially for someone who has survived by being strong and silent. But that honesty became the bridge between their worlds. Instead of distance, there was understanding. Instead of fear, there was patience. From that moment, love did not magically solve his problems, but it gave him strength to face them. He studied harder, worked smarter, and sought help without shame. She stood beside him, not as a savior, but as a steady presence. Together, they navigated differences, misunderstandings, and the weight of reality. Love became a quiet partnership built on respect, not fantasy. Time passed, and the boy who once trembled at airport gates grew into someone more grounded. He learned that identity is not lost by crossing borders, and that roots can stretch without breaking. His family back home slowly came to understand his journey, not because it was easy, but because it was honest. America no longer felt like an enemy. It felt like a chapter, challenging and transformative. As seasons changed, so did his understanding of love. It was no longer just about romance, but about growth, patience, and shared resilience. He realized that love does not erase struggle, but it gives meaning to it. Standing in the same cafe where everything began, he reflected on how far he had come. The journey had tested his limits, but it had also revealed his strength. If this story has touched even a small corner of your heart, if it reminded you of your own struggles, dreams, or silent battles, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel so these stories can reach more hearts. Before this story ends, we have one special request for you. Comment below with one word that describes what this story made you feel. Your words matter, and they help this community grow. In the end, his journey was not just from India to America, or from loneliness to love. It was a journey from fear to courage, from silence to truth, and from survival to purpose. His story reminds us that love does not belong to one country, one language, or one culture. It belongs to those who are brave enough to open their hearts, even when the world feels uncertain. And sometimes the greatest journeys are not measured in miles, but in the quiet moments where we choose hope over fear.